It is that time of the month where we take a look back at all the things that I have purchased in the previous month. And by golly, is there a lot. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Chris, and today's video is the June book haul. Now, every month I do these, I say that I am not going to sit here and read the blurbs of the books, and then I continue to sit here and read the blurbs of the books, and then we get a video that's like half an hour long. No more will that be occurring, because I've got 40 books here today to get through. Yes, another month of 40 books acquired over the span of 30 days. It is the 1st of July, therefore I cannot buy any more books in June, but I've already bought one this morning. But that is okay. I'm aiming for 15 books purchased in July. Can he do it? I'm laughing at myself. I don't know. Let's just jump into the books. We've got a lot to get through. I'm going to start off with two which have been sent to me by the authors. The first one is the Eidola Project. This is by Robert Herald. This is a horror novella. There's a set of 3 out so far, and this is classed as a gothic version of the X-Files and Supernatural. The author reached out to me, asked me if he could send me a copy of the book, and I said, hey, I'll give the first one a go, but I don't know when I'm going to get to it, in all honesty, but you're welcome to send it through, and I'll shout it out on the channel. So, thank you, Robert Herald, for sending me this ebook. The next one I've got is The Threat Below. This is by J.S. Latshaw. This is book 1 of the Bratius history. This is a YA dystopian book with a big old beastie on the front, which looks kind of interesting. Typically, I don't read a lot of YA, but I'm interested in YA dystopian books just on how that particular genre is marketed and presented to a younger audience. I do have Scythe there to read as well, which I believe is also a YA dystopian novel, so I'm sort of interested in getting to this one. I just don't know when that will be. Next up, we have got a bunch of ebooks that I've purchased. With the SPFBO competition starting again earlier this year, there are a lot of deals going around, and if you have your ear to the ground on Bookstagram in particular is where I'm finding a lot of these deals. You can pick these up for super cheap and help the authors boost their numbers on various platforms. So I have picked up a lot of these for fairly cheap, and I'm looking forward to giving them all a go eventually. Now, the first two ebooks that I picked up were actually box sets of the first 3 parts of these stories, and the first one is the Sundered Crown Saga Parts 1 to 3. This is written by Matthew Olney, who runs epicindie.net. The first 3 parts are Heir to the Sundered Crown, War for the Sundered Crown, and Part 3, Quest for the Sundered Crown. And I believe this was quite cheap because Part 4 is coming out either later this year or it's just released. So you could pick up the first 3 for a couple of bucks, and I snagged them. The next box set I got is The Light of Darkness. This is books 1 to 3 by Katrin Russell. There are 6 books so far out in the series. I'm not 100% sure if it's completed. I have mentioned the first book previously, which was The Power of Conviction. I did already have this on my Kindle, but for 99 cents to be able to pick up the next 2 books in the series, if I like it, I figured why not. So we've got The Path of Salvation and The Resurgence of Light as books 2 and 3 in that series, which I've picked up as well. The next one I grabbed was Shadowless by Randall McNally. This is either in SPFBO this year or was in it last year, and the cover got me. You've got this giant presence over this little soldier looking thing, and I thought that looked really cool, so I ended up picking this one up, and I don't know when I'm going to get to it, much like a lot of these, but I am looking forward to giving it a go. The next one I am reading in the Indie Cause Readathon. This is a host pick by Andrew from Andrew's Wizardly Reads. Channel will be linked down below, and I've picked up In the Orbit of Sirens by T.A. Bruno. This is a space opera, and I've heard it's got a lot of heart and deals with big hitting questions, which the genre of sci-fi can do so well. So I'm looking forward to reading that one later in July. The next book was one that was brought to my attention by a good buddy of mine, Mark Timoney, and this is the Battle of Evermore. This is the Stone of Kings Book 1 by Zachary Silver. So this book was having a week of freebies over on Kindle, so I picked this one up. Mark reckons I'll like it, and I'll get to it at some point. The next one I grabbed was also a 99-cent deal. This is Envy by Tim Beaton, and I believe the second book, Greed, came out earlier this year. This is a 7 Deadly and 4 novel. Now, this cover intrigues me, and when I first looked at it, I didn't know if I liked it, but the more I look at it, the more intrigued I am. So I'm interested to see what's inside this cover and what's inside these pages. I know relatively nothing about this story, so sometimes that's the best way to go in. The next one I picked up was Where Heroes Were Born. This is book 3 in the Pillars of Peace series by Tom Dumrell. This is the third and final installment, and I am looking forward to seeing how that trilogy wraps up. I know that Library of a Viking really enjoys these books, and I really enjoyed books 1 and 2, and I am planning on reading this one in July as well. Following along from that, we have Palom, or Palom, by L.L. McRae. This is book 2 in the world of Lunaria. I read book 1 in June, which you would have seen in my wrap-up, and planning on continuing on with the series in July with book number 2, which has also had a revamp, and the cover is really cool. That red pops right off the page. Really enjoyed the world of Lunaria book 1, so very keen to get back into the series. Next one I picked up was An Alliance of Enemies, Dissension. This is by Ruben J. Eckhart. This is Dissension Book 1. This is currently in the Spiffbo 8 competition. I don't know too much about it, except that it was on a deal with a bunch of other either previous or current Spiffbo entrants. There was like 49 books, I believe, that you could pick up for 99 cents each, and this one was one that grabbed my attention, so I picked that one on up. Likewise, I also picked up The Lost Sentinel by Emma L. Adams. This bluish cover really pops off the screen, and I picked that one up as well as a bit of a cover buy. Well, it was quite cheap, so looking forward to reading that at some point. 2 more of these before we jump into the physical books. So we have Fate's Long Shadow. This is the Practice of Power Book 1 by Marcelo Carbo. This was another one of the Spiffbo buys in that group of 49 to 50 books. I'm not sure what the number was, to pick up for quite cheap, to boost numbers and to help out some authors. And the last one I picked up was Forged in Flame. This was by Bruce McKnight, and it is Two Blades of the Dagger Book 1. I really enjoyed the series name. I really enjoyed the colours of the cover. This was the last one that caught my eye that I didn't already own on this list of books, so I picked that one up as well. Didn't that move so much faster than me reading out all the blurbs? Let me know if you want me to read out the blurbs, and I can just split these up if I ever have a ridiculous book haul again, which, let's face it, it's me, I probably will. And considering I'm moving across the country in under 12 months, it's going to be fun to package all these books and put them in storage. What was I thinking? I don't know. Let's move on to the physical books. Alright, I had a bit of a wild time. Once Spiffbo 8 was announced, I went through all 300 of those synopses and those covers and picked some that I really would like to own on my physical shelf. So there's quite a few of those in this list, as well as I also went to like a book, they call it Book Fest, which is like a fair for nerds who like books, and they've got tables and tables and tables of books. I didn't get a picture, I should have. There was 2 tables, like 2 of these massive tables. They go through a convention hall of fantasy, and I ended up picking up quite a few there as well for quite cheap. I'm someone who likes a second-hand book if they're broken on the spines. I don't mind. It means they've been well loved, but you probably won't see them a whole lot on these shelves because they don't look as pretty. Starting with the books that I got outside of that book fest, we'll do that last, and some of the Spiffbo entries. We have book number 1. This is Wake of the Phoenix by Chelsea Harper. The cover and the blurb of this one did intrigue me. Got basically a silhouette of a person and someone on a throne, which looks like, and the person on the throne doesn't look all that happy. So I don't want to know too much about these books going in because I am planning on reading them over the 12-month course of the competition, so please forgive me. Also, I still have a cough, so I'm not going to read all the blurbs. This one was 100% a cover pick. It is magnificent. This is Master of the Flying Broom by Joseph J. Bailey. Look at that. I have mentioned this one before, I'm pretty sure, in my books that I'm anticipating for Spiffbo 8. Kinsara looks alright with the broom, so we'll see. The next one I picked up off Spiffbo 8 was Ironcraft. This is the Chronicles of Duma Book 1 by Pedro Gabriel, and this has a giant griffin on the front. 2022 was the year of the griffin. We had some cool griffins in A Touch of Light by Tiago Abdallah, and I just want some more griffins in my life, so I'll pick this one up to get some more griffin-y action. This person on the back is holding 2 swords to another griffin. Griffin. Next up, we have the Chains of Blood and the Chains of Legacy. This is by M.L. Spencer, the author of Dragon Mage. Now these are quite shiny, so I'll hold them up at an angle to the light. I know nothing about these books. I saw them on Andrew's channel again. Can you tell he's an influence on how many books I buy? And they were like $10 each on Amazon when I was having a look. So I thought, why not? I still haven't read Dragon Mage. I still need to read Dragon Mage. I've heard nothing but good things, but I also am genuinely interested in M.L. Spencer as an author, and you really can't say no when books are that cheap. Can you? Maybe some people can. I cannot. Continuing on with self-published, I managed to pick up a numbered and signed edition of Starbinder. This is a prequel novella to Blood of the Spear by Mr. Mark Timoney. I got number 6 and I'm currently reading it, as you can see with the bookmark. I'll hopefully finish that one up today. Alright, I then picked up book 2 of the Aspect. This is the Soul's Instruments by Mark Holloway. Already read this one, already really enjoyed it. It's a much darker tone to the first book. It really broadens this world and breaks it open. So had a good time. What a cliffhanger. Looking forward to book 3, which should be coming out next year, I believe. I then picked up The Assassin of Malcoze, I hope I pronounced that correctly, by Brian Asher. I saw this one on Dominish Books' indie showcase. Brian Asher was on there to talk about his books. The premise of these is really interesting. We've got a story and a world that jumps across different genres but are somehow all connected. So far there's this one, and there's also a sci-fi one. I'll put a picture of that on the screen, but I'm interested to see how they connect. Alright, we've got 2 more self-pubs. The next 2 I picked up from the SPSFC. This is the self-published science fiction challenge that started last year, following a similar vein to Spiffbo. We have 300 science fiction books that have been self-published or indie published, and you've got 10 judges to go through them, and these 2 ended up quite close to the top. Now, not reading a lot of science fiction, I definitely did go for the covers, so forgive me. The first one I've got is Arvekt. This is by Craig Lee Gordon, Instant Reality 1. This is like a Technicolor, I think, Technicolor cover, super beautiful, really pops in person. The camera does not do it justice. And there's 2 novellas so far in this world as well. Similar covers with a blue background, absolutely stunning. This is a cyberpunk techno thriller, and I'm looking forward to reading this one in the Indie Accords again this month. The next one I picked up is a name that a lot of us will know if we've been hanging around the self-published scene for a little while. This is The Narrows by Travis M. Riddle, who also has one in Spiffbo 8 this year. This cover, this orange waxy cover, really sold me, and I know nothing about this book except that I want to know what's going on there, so I picked this one up as well. The SPSFC starts again, I believe, in late July. I know that the call for judges happened on the 15th of June, so I think it's about a month. I think it's about a month after that you're allowed to put in your entries. So any self-published sci-fi authors out there, get ready, have a look at the SPSFC. I'll put a link to that down below if you are interested, where they're talking about the competition wrapping up for this year, and you'll be able to enter your books in pretty soon. The rest of the books are all traditionally published, and I'll go through them quite quickly. The first one was a new release from this year, David Dalglish, The Bladed Faith. I've heard some mixed things on this one. David Dalglish is an author that I own a few books of, but I haven't read yet. I own the Keepers series that you can see behind me. I haven't read them yet. I'm looking forward to giving them a go at some point, but this one had a really cool cover and sounded interesting, so I picked it up as well. And it's one of those cases of I just pre-ordered a bunch of stuff and then it turns up, and I was like, yep, I remember buying that. Jolly good day. Another author that I own quite a few books of but haven't read yet is Janny Wirtz. Now, I recently saw Joanna talk about To Ride Hell's Chasm, and I picked it up after watching her chat about it in the spoiler-free section of that video. I know from friends that Janny Wirtz prose can be quite dense. I don't mind dense prose as long as it's for a point, and I believe that this book will be right up my alley. It's also been suggested to me that I do read this before jumping into the War of Light and Shadow, which is the main 10-book series with a final book main series that currently has 10 books, and I think the final is being worked on at the moment. So I picked up to ride Hell's Chasm, and I also picked up the next two in the series that I'm up to, which is Fugitive Prince, that is book 4 of the War of Light and Shadow, and Grand Conspiracy, which is book 5. So I now have 5 of the books in that series. Don't look at them too closely if you're one of those people that likes all the covers to match and everything to be the same size. I can give or take it, but one of these books is slightly smaller than the rest of them, and they're all like different covers produced at different times, so that might stick in some people's craw, but for me, I don't care. Okay, that's how many books we got left. It's a big old bag of books. So I went to this book fair, and truth be told, I found a lot of books that were the next one in the series that I'd already started, and some books that are out of print, and some books that I've just sort of been looking for. These we can get through quite quickly because they are just continuations of stuff that I've previously talked about, or they're all by the same author. Alright. Okay, so been hearing a lot about Tad Williams this year. My father-in-law owns the Memory of Sorrow and Thorn. I think that's the one that starts with the Dragonbone chair, but I haven't heard a whole lot about Otherland except for when Andrew, again, far out, I'm not stalking you, I swear, was talking about them. So I've picked up volume 1. They're all very shiny. They're a little bit battered. That's okay. They cost me like $6 each. Volume 2, River of Blue Fire, and volume 3, Mountain of Black Glass. I don't know how well they're going to come up in the ring light because they are very, very shiny. So I don't know when I'm going to get to them. They are all chunkers. They don't look that big, but they're all like 1,000 pages long. And I don't read that fast. But I am moving to the other side of the country next year where I'm not going to have a lot of social life, so books shall be my salvation. The next 3 that I picked up were David Gemmell. Now, I picked up Legend, which is the first book in the Draenei series. I have not read David Gemmell yet. He is one of the authors that I am looking forward to reading in the fantasy sphere. I don't know where I'm going to start. I've heard the Draenei saga is a good place to start, so I have picked up Legend. I couldn't find the next one in the book. I couldn't find the next one in the series at the book fair, unfortunately, but that's okay. I did pick up books 1 and 2 in the Regante series. Book 1 is Sword in the Storm, and book 2 is Midnight Falcon. So I got those as well. Hopefully they come up and they're not too glary. Ooh. Ah. I'm sorry that just happened. I did pick up one book that I'm sure I'm going to cop it for on this channel, and that is Kushiel's Dart. I am so curious about this book, and it was everywhere on the tables, and so was the rest of the series. So I believe this is fantasy romance, or at least there's a sex-based magic system, but it's good. So I don't know very much about it, except that I've heard good reviews, and I'm just curious to see if it is actually good. So I picked this one up. It looks like that. Moving on. You don't need to say anything. That's fine. I understand what your thoughts are. The next one I picked up was the second book of the Crossroads series by Kate Elliott. I picked up the first book this year. It took me forever to find a copy of the first book, and to stumble across book 2 for $8, I was like, yep, picking that up. Took me a long time to find book 1. So it's the same cover. I think they're different sizes, but I picked that one up as well. I also grabbed book 3 of the Rift War saga cycle. I know, Dominish, that you told me what these were, and I've already forgotten. But I picked up book 3, so it's Magician, Silverthorn, then a Darkness at Sethanon. I can read. It's fine. So I picked up book 3. And then I picked up the second book of the Monster Hunter series by Larry Correia. This is Monster Hunter Vendetta. So I picked that one up as well. And last but not least, I found books 2 and 3 of the Book of Words by J.B. Jones. This is A Man Betrayed and Master and Fool. So now that I have the whole trilogy, I think there's going to be a trilogy that I do like month to month to month. So I'll do one month. You get the idea. this may be a buddy read. So if anyone wants to buddy read the Book of Words with me over a couple of months, hit me up down below and we'll have a good time with it. So now that I've got all three. That was the mass amount of books that I have picked up in the month of June. What did you pick up? Are you as nuts as I am? Let me know in the comments below. If you like the content, give it one of these. If you want to see more of it, then click subscribe at your will, and I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.